Hi, my name is Maggie Hall and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be starting this journey. I just kind of wanted to make an intro video of who I am, what I'm about, all the things. Like I said, my name is Maggie. I live in Texas and it is blazing hot here. Oh my word. I have three beautiful girls, ages 4, almost 2, and a 6-month-old. So I have little children. I also homeschool. I am a book lover. I will be doing so many book videos, reviews, ideas, all different kinds of things. I love sharing my life. I homeschool my 4-year-old. She just finished preschool. She's doing the in-between, which is kinder prep. And then we are going to start kindergarten probably the end of this year, which is crazy because she's ahead, but she's so smart and loves to learn. I love sharing all things mom, all things homeschool, all things books. I dabble in so many different crafts. I just am so excited to start this journey on YouTube, sharing my life, sharing who I am. I love Jesus. He is my everything. And I've also just struggled a lot in my life with depression, anxiety, postpartum, all of that stuff. I have been a mom for 4 years now, and I've learned so many things along the way, and I want to share those, even if it helps one mom in their journey of becoming a new mom. It's worth it for me in the end. So I'm really excited to start this journey, really excited to dive into so many different things. Comment if you have anything specific that you want to see or want to hear. I've got a lot of ideas and a lot of content coming up, and I'm so excited to share life with you guys. With that being said, in this first video, I do want to kind of talk about becoming a mom and the last 4 years of my life of being a mom. So my first daughter's named Valerie. She's 4 years old, was born in May. And 4 years ago, y'all, when I found out I was pregnant with my daughter, I had just graduated nursing school. Side note, I used to be a nurse, still technically am, but I no longer work as one. I stay home with my babies for now, so we'll see. That's a whole different thing that I can talk about. Nursing school was extremely hard for me. It was a huge struggle bus and a very long journey. But I paused on my nursing career to focus on my babies. And I got pregnant literally right after I graduated from nursing school. I was actually pregnant when I took my NCLEX and didn't know it yet, which is hilarious. But we were really excited. She wasn't a surprise, and we just did not even know what was to come for us with having kids. It literally just changes everything in the best ways, but some of the hardest ways as well. So my pregnancy was really hard. I have always struggled with depression and anxiety in my life, pretty much ever since I went to college. But getting pregnant made it 10 times worse. And it was really bad. I struggled mentally so bad. And not a lot of people talk about having depression when you're pregnant and having severe depression when you're pregnant. So I went back on my medication towards the end of that pregnancy because it was severe. They literally almost institutionalized me because my depression was so bad. I ended up with a C-section. So I got induced due to my mental health and some other health issues that was going on. Honestly, looking back, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish that I had just let her go to term, but I was struggling so much and couldn't see anything but where I was right in that moment. So anyways, I ended up going in, getting induced. I was in labor for 36 hours. 36 hours. And I wasn't progressing. I was stuck at like a 4 or 5 centimeters. So they told me like she was bulging, and so she just couldn't fit. Literally just couldn't fit. So, and I wasn't progressing, and I was on like one of the highest doses, like highest numbers of Pitocin that you can have. So I ended up with a C-section, and I almost died during my C-section. Not to freak anybody out, I'm just here sharing my story, but I had an extra lobe on my placenta. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's very rare. Only happens in, I think, like 2% of women, or like maybe even less. And I don't really have the factors for it, which is like a older maternal age, IVF, those kind of things. None of that was true for me, but I ended up having, so like I had my placenta, but then I had an extra lobe on my placenta. One of the risks with that is bleeding. So they said like should be fine even if I had given birth to her like vaginally. We'll just make sure that it comes out. Well, during my C-section, after they got her out, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden I could tell something changed in the room, and they rushed my husband out very quickly, took the baby out. I saw her for like 5 seconds, and I am medically trained, so I'm laying there and I hear everything that's going on, and I know what's going on because I know that their lingo and how they're talking, and I just can still see it. I was looking up and I could see my reflection in the OR lights, and all I saw was just blood everywhere, and I could hear them talking back and forth. It was my doctor and another doctor, and one of the one that wasn't my doctor said, let's just give her a hysterectomy, let's just take it all out. And my doctor said, I can't do that, she's literally 23 years old, like there's no way, I can't give her a hysterectomy. Like, no, let's just stand here and keep working. So what they do is they massage the uterus to get it to contract to stop bleeding. She didn't want to wait, and she didn't want to fix the problem. She just wanted to move on to the next patient. And so anyways, they ended up, if it hadn't been for my doctor, I would have not had my other 2 children. That lady would have just given me a hysterectomy, which is crazy and terrifying. But anyways, she stood there for another 20-30 minutes and was finally able to get my uterus to stop bleeding. But I was laying there thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see my husband or my kids again. And it was terrifying. I was so traumatized by that. And it's still hard for me to talk about it sometimes, even though I've had 2 more babies since then. But by C-section. But it was really hard, and I cried about it a lot for a very long time. I remember laying there saying, please, just thinking in my head, like, don't intubate me, because I knew if they intubated me that it was going to be bad, that I was going to wake up and not be able to have any more kids, or I was going to die, or anyways, yeah, so they were able to get it to stop. I went back to recovery, held baby, all the things. But I can go into more detail of like my recovery after that. But it was so hard, my postpartum, in like the first couple of weeks, because I did hemorrhage, and I didn't need a blood transfusion in the hospital, but when I got home, I started having symptoms that I needed one. So we went up to my local hospital, and they're just not a good hospital, and they just sent me home. But seeing my numbers, I was right on the line of like whether they're gonna transfuse you or not, and if you have enough symptoms, they transfuse you anyways. And I should have had a blood transfusion, 100%. That would have made me recover a lot better. But I was very sick and very in a lot of pain and under the weather for so long. My incision is also longer because they had to like open me up more to massage the uterus, and yeah, it was just a whole thing, y'all. Anyways, that was my first daughter's and birth, and it was horrible and traumatic. But I can go into the detail of the other 2 births later, but I can say night and day difference. Okay, night and day difference. If you have a planned C-section, where you go in and you're not getting induced, you're not going through all the weird stuff, laboring for 36 hours, hemorrhaging, night and day difference. Okay, still a lot of pain because it's a C-section. It's an open area. They go through all of those layers to get to the baby. Still a lot of pain, but recovery was much easier, much quicker. It was just everything we had prayed for in that scenario, and I can go into those stories, but that is a little snippet of my first birth story. And when I became a new mom, I did not become a new mom in the way that most women imagine things being. It was very hard for me, and I am very open and very honest about that kind of stuff. So anyways, if you want to see more, please subscribe, like, share, all the things. And I'm excited to start this journey with y'all. So have a blessed day.